Question 1. Scenario-based. Mr. Thompson owns a small business that operates a bakery in Utah. He has a business owner's policy BOP that covers his building and personal property. One evening, a fire breaks out in the bakery due to an electrical malfunction in the oven. The fire causes significant damage to the building and inventory. Mr. Thompson files a claim for the damage. After investigation, the insurer determines that the cause of the fire was a faulty oven that had not been maintained for over a year. Which of the following statements is most accurate regarding Mr. Thompson's claim? A. The insurer will likely deny the claim because Mr. Thompson did not maintain the oven and negligence is a valid exclusion in the policy. B. The insurer will approve the claim because the BOP covers all perils, including those caused by faulty equipment. C. The insurer will approve the claim, but they may apply a coinsurance penalty due to the oven's lack of maintenance. D. The insurer will approve the claim, but only if the fire department's report conclusively states that the fire was accidental and not due to negligence. And so, an explanation. In a business owner's policy, BOP fire damage is typically covered under the basic property coverage, but the insurer may apply exclusions for negligence or improper maintenance. The faulty oven's lack of maintenance could be seen as negligence, and insurers often have exclusions for situations where proper care and maintenance were not taken to prevent the loss. This can lead to a denial of the claim, depending on policy terms. Understanding policy exclusions and the importance of maintenance is critical when reviewing claims. Question 2. Conceptual. Which of the following best describes the key difference between a commercial general liability CGL occurrence form and a claims-made form? A. The occurrence form only covers incidents that occur during the policy period, while the claims-made form covers incidents reported during the policy period. B. The claims-made form provides coverage for incidents that occur before the policy's inception date if the claim is made during the policy period. C. The occurrence form covers claims regardless of when they are reported, while the claims-made form only covers claims reported during the policy period. D. The claims-made form is used exclusively for bodily injury claims, while the occurrence form applies only to property damage claims. Answer. C. Explanation. The primary difference between an occurrence form and a claims-made form is in the timing of coverage. The occurrence form provides coverage for incidents that occur during the policy period, regardless of when the claim is reported. In contrast, the claims-made form only provides coverage for claims that are reported during the policy period, even if the incident occurred before the policy's inception. This distinction is important because claims-made policies may require an extended reporting period, tail coverage, if the policy is cancelled or not renewed. Understanding the impact of this difference is vital for businesses to ensure proper coverage for long-tail liabilities. Question 3. Complex. Which of the following is a critical factor in determining the premium for a commercial auto insurance policy under the business auto coverage form? BAC-FA. The physical damage coverage limits for each vehicle covered under the policy. B. The number of claims filed by the business in the last 10 years as this impacts the business risk classification. C. The type and number of vehicles used in the business, including whether they are owned, leased, or hired. D. The policyholder's employee health and safety record as it directly affects the business auto risk. Answer. C. Explanation. Under the business auto coverage form BAC, the premium is significantly influenced by the types of vehicles used by the business and their classification, e.g., owned, leased, hired, or non-owned vehicles. Vehicles classified as high risk, such as those used for transporting hazardous materials or heavy loads, may result in higher premiums. Additionally, the specific use of the vehicle, e.g., for deliveries or construction work, can impact the premium as well. Understanding these factors helps determine the appropriate coverage and premium for a business's fleet. Claims history can affect premiums over time, but is more directly related to underwriting rather than initial premium calculations. Question 4. Conceptual. In a commercial general liability CGL policy, which of the following would likely be excluded under the pollution exclusion clause? A. A chemical spill resulting from a truck collision that damages neighboring properties. B. A fire caused by faulty wiring in the insured's building that spreads to a nearby factory. C. A claim for personal injury caused by an employee's negligence in a customer interaction. D. A pollution-related lawsuit for a factory's water discharge violating environmental regulations. Answer. D. Explanation. The pollution exclusion in a CGL policy typically excludes coverage for damages arising from the release or discharge of pollutants. This includes environmental contamination such as water or air pollution. The key factor here is the intentional or unintentional release of pollutants, which would not be covered under the general liability policy. Claims related to negligence or non-pollution related damages would not fall under this exclusion. It's important for policyholders to understand that pollution coverage often needs to be separately endorsed if coverage is desired. Question 5. Scenario-based MS. Garcia owns a small technology consulting firm and has purchased a commercial umbrella policy with an underlying CGL policy, one of MS. Garcia's employees, while at her client's site, accidentally damages expensive office equipment. The client sues the company for the full cost of replacement and damages. The CGL policy pays up to its limit, but the damages exceed this amount. How will the commercial umbrella policy respond? A. The umbrella policy will only cover the amount exceeding the CGL policy's limits up to the umbrella policy's own limit. B. The umbrella policy will cover the full claim regardless of the CGL policy's limits because umbrella policies provide broader coverage. C. The umbrella policy will not cover any portion of the claim because the CGL policy has already paid. D. The umbrella policy will pay only if the claim involves bodily injury or property damage that was unexpected. Answer. Explanation. A commercial umbrella policy provides excess coverage over underlying policies, such as the CGL policy, and covers claims once the limits of the underlying policy are exhausted. In this scenario, since the damages exceed the CGL limit, the umbrella policy will cover the remaining amount up to its own limit. It is critical for businesses to understand the scope of coverage and how excess policies work, especially in cases where significant claims exceed the standard policy limits. Question 6. Conceptual. Which of the following is a key difference between replacement cost and an actual cash value received in commercial property insurance policies? A. Replacement cost pays the full cost of repairing or replacing damaged property, whereas ACV only covers the depreciated value. B. ACV and replacement cost both pay for the total value of the damaged property but use different methods of calculation. C. Replacement cost is calculated based on the original purchase price of the property, while ACV considers the market value at the time of loss. D. ACV typically results in a higher payout compared to replacement cost because it takes into account inflation and increased property values. Answer. A. Explanation. The main difference between replacement cost and actual cash value (SCV) is how depreciation is handled. Replacement cost pays for the cost of replacing or repairing the damaged property at current market prices without accounting for depreciation. On the other hand, SCV takes depreciation into account and the payout is based on the depreciated value of the property at the time of the loss. This can lead to a lower payout under a CV policy compared to a replacement cost policy, which is important for businesses to understand when selecting coverage. Question 7. Conceptual. In a workers' compensation policy, which of the following scenarios would not be covered under the employer's liability section? A. An employee is injured while lifting heavy boxes and sues the employer for negligence. B. An employee is injured while commuting to work and files a workers' compensation claim. C. An employee develops a repetitive stress injury due to improper ergonomics at the workplace and files a claim. D. An employee sustains a back injury due to an accident at the work site and seeks compensation. Answer. B. Explanation. Workers' compensation laws generally do not cover injuries sustained during the commute to and from work, often referred to as the going and coming rule, while workplace injuries, including those caused by negligence or improper conditions, such as repetitive stress injuries, are typically covered. Injuries that occur outside of the workplace, like commuting accidents, are not covered under the employer's liability section. However, the basic workers' compensation benefits, such as medical care and wage replacement, may still apply if the injury happens during work-related duties. Question 8. Conceptual. What is the primary purpose of a business owner's policy (BOP) for a small business? A. To provide both property and liability coverage in a single package tailored for large corporations. B. To bundle general liability, commercial property, and additional coverages for small businesses into a single policy. C. To only cover the liability risks associated with running a business without offering property coverage. D. To cover workers' compensation insurance for small businesses with fewer than 10 employees. Answer. B. Explanation. A business owner's policy (BOP) is designed to combine essential property and liability coverages for small businesses in a single package. It typically includes general liability, commercial property, and additional coverages such as business interruption and extra expenses. The BOP is intended to be a cost-effective solution for small businesses as it offers a comprehensive policy without the need to purchase separate coverages. Understanding the scope of a BOP is essential for small business owners to ensure they have adequate protection against both property and liability risks. Question 9. Scenario-based. Mr. Adams runs a construction company in Utah and has purchased a commercial auto insurance policy. One of his drivers causes an accident while operating a company vehicle, resulting in significant property damage and bodily injuries to the other driver. The injured party sues Mr. Adams' business. What type of coverage will apply under the commercial auto insurance policy? A. Only the liability coverage for bodily injury, as the property damage is not covered under the commercial auto policy. B. The bodily injury and property damage liability coverage, but only if the accident occurred during work hours. C. The bodily injury and property damage liability coverage, regardless of whether the accident occurred during work hours or while the employee was off duty. D. The commercial auto policy will not cover the accident because it was caused by an employee's negligence. Answer. C. Explanation. Commercial auto insurance typically provides liability coverage for both bodily injury and property damage resulting from an accident involving a company vehicle, regardless of whether the accident occurred during work hours or when the employee was off duty, as long as the employee was driving a company vehicle and performing duties related to the business. The insurance will apply. This coverage is crucial for businesses with company-owned vehicles to ensure they are protected from third-party liability claims. Question 10. Conceptual. Which of the following is the primary factor that influences the premium for a workers' compensation policy? A. The type of business operations and the associated risk of injury. B. The geographical location of the business, particularly its proximity to high-risk areas. C. The number of employees and their total salaries as these impact the overall payroll. D. The age of the business, as newer businesses have a higher risk profile. Answer A. Explanation. The primary factor influencing workers' compensation premiums is the type of business operations and the associated risk of injury. Businesses in high-risk industries such as construction or manufacturing will typically pay higher premiums because of the greater likelihood of employee injuries. Additionally, classification codes which reflect the risk level of the specific business activities play a critical role in determining the premium. Payroll size and number of employees are also factors, but the nature of the business's operations is the most significant. Question 11. Conceptual. Under a crime insurance policy, which of the following scenarios would be covered by employee dishonesty coverage? A. A company employee embezzles funds from the business over a period of several months. B. A company employee is caught shoplifting from a store while on a personal errand. C. An employee inadvertently causes a data breach by mishandling confidential customer information. D. A business owner is defrauded by a third-party contractor who falsely invoices the company for services not rendered. Answer A. An explanation. Employee dishonesty coverage under a crime insurance policy typically covers theft or dishonesty committed by an employee in the course of their work. This includes actions like embezzlement or misappropriation of funds, which are intentional acts of dishonesty by employees against their employer. It does not typically cover actions committed by employees outside of their job duties, e.g. shoplifting during personal errands or third-party fraud. It's essential for businesses to have this coverage in place to protect against internal theft and fraudulent activities. Question 12. Conceptual. Which of the following statements best describes the purpose of a business interruption endorsement in a commercial property insurance policy? A. It provides coverage for the loss of income due to property damage or a covered peril that disrupts business operations. B. It offers coverage for any property lost or damaged during a natural disaster regardless of the business operations. C. It compensates for the repair costs of physical property that was damaged by a fire or storm. D. It covers any business losses caused by employee fraud or misconduct. Answer A. Explanation. A business interruption endorsement provides coverage for the loss of income and extra expenses incurred when a business is unable to operate due to property damage or a covered peril, e.g. fire, storm, or vandalism. This coverage is essential for businesses to continue operations during the recovery phase after a loss. The key distinction is that it focuses on income loss, not just physical property damage. Question 13. Scenario-based. A construction company in Utah has purchased a commercial general liability CGL policy with a limit of $1 million. During a project, the company accidentally damages a neighboring property while using heavy machinery. The property owner sues for $1.5 million in damages. How will the CGL policy respond? A. The CGL policy will cover the entire $1.5 million claim because the property damage occurred during the course of business. B. The CGL policy will pay up to its limit of $1 million, and the business will need to cover the remaining $500,000 out of pocket. C. The CGL policy will not pay for the property damage because construction-related accidents are not covered. D. The CGL policy will cover only the legal defense costs, not the damages. Answer. B. Explanation. A CGL policy will cover property damage claims up to the policy limit. In this case, the policy limit is $1 million, so the CGL policy will cover the amount. The remaining $500,000 is the responsibility of the business unless they have additional insurance or a higher limit policy. It's important for businesses to understand their liability limits and consider purchasing excess or umbrella coverage if needed. Question 14. Conceptual. Which of the following would typically be excluded under the Errors and omissions, liability coverage. A. An employee accidentally causes damage to a client's property while on the job. B. A consultant makes a professional error that causes financial loss for a client. C. A client sues the business due to a product defect that caused harm. D. A business is sued for failing to meet the terms of a contractual obligation due to oversight. Answer. C. Explanation. Errors and omissions. Insurance provides coverage for professional negligence or mistakes made by a business or its employees. It typically covers claims arising from errors in professional services or advice that cause financial loss to clients. However, product-related issues such as defects causing harm or injury are generally not covered under EO policies. Product liability insurance would be more appropriate for this type of claim. Question 15. Scenario-based. A Utah-based technology company offers services to clients that involve handling sensitive customer data. The company purchases a cyber liability insurance policy to protect against data breaches and cyber attacks. A hacker gains unauthorized access to the company's database and steals customer data. How will the cyber liability policy respond? A. The cyber liability policy will cover only the legal defense costs related to the breach. B. The policy will cover the cost of notifying affected customers, public relations efforts, and legal defense expenses. C. The policy will cover only the direct financial losses the company incurs from the breach. D. The policy will cover the cost of repairing the company's network but not the breach-related expenses. Correct answer. B. Explanation. A cyber liability insurance policy typically covers costs related to a data breach, including the notification costs to affected customers, legal defense expenses, regulatory fines, and public relations efforts to mitigate damage to the company's reputation. The policy is designed to protect businesses from the financial fallout of cyber attacks and data breaches, which can be significant. Question 16. Conceptual. Which of the following is not typically covered under a standard commercial property policy? A. Property damage caused by fire. B. Theft of business property by a third-party burglar. C. Damage to the property caused by a flood or earthquake. D. Damage caused by vandalism or malicious mischief. Answer. C. Explanation. A standard commercial property policy typically excludes coverage for flood and earthquake damage, as these are considered high-risk events that require separate coverage. Businesses that operate in flood-prone or earthquake-prone areas should consider purchasing additional policies such as flood insurance or earthquake insurance to ensure full coverage. Fire, theft, and vandalism are generally covered under the standard commercial property policy. Question 17. Scenario-based. A commercial business purchases a business owner's policy BOP, which includes both property and liability coverage. The business experiences a fire that damages its building, inventory, and equipment. The business also faces a lawsuit from a customer who claims the fire caused personal injury due to smoke inhalation. How will the BOP respond to these claims? A. The BOP will cover both the property damage and the personal injury claim under its liability coverage. B. The BOP will cover the property damage but not the personal injury claim. C. The BOP will cover the personal injury claim but not the property damage. D. The BOP will cover neither the property damage nor the personal injury claim. Answer. B. Explanation. The business owner's policy BOP typically includes both property coverage and liability coverage. In this case, the BOP will cover the property damage caused by the fire, including the building, inventory, and equipment. However, the personal injury claim due to smoke inhalation is a liability issue, and the liability portion of the BOP would address this. The coverage for property and liability is typically separate, and both would be used in this scenario. Question 18. Conceptual. Which of the following is not covered by a standard commercial general liability (CGL) policy? A. Bodily injury claims arising from a slip and fall incident at a business property. B. Property damage caused by the insured's negligent actions. C. Personal injury claims resulting from a violation of privacy rights. D. Damage to the insured's own property caused by a covered peril. Answer. D. Explanation. A standard commercial general liability (CGL) policy generally does not cover damage to the insured's own property. It is designed to cover third-party bodily injury and property damage claims as well as personal and advertising injury claims. Coverage for the insured's own property is typically provided under a commercial property insurance policy, not a CGL policy. Question 19. Scenario-based. A business in Utah is sued for libel after publishing an article on its website that a competitor claims is defamatory. The business has a CGL policy with a $2 million limit. The competitor is demanding $3 million in damages. How will the CGL policy respond? A. The CGL policy will pay the entire $3 million because it covers all types of defamation claims. B. The CGL policy will pay up to the policy's $2 million limit, and the business will have to cover the remaining $1 million. C. The CGL policy will cover only the legal defense costs, not the damages. D. The CGL policy will not cover the defamation claim because it involves publishing content on a website. Answer. B. Explanation. A CGL policy provides coverage for personal injury claims, including defamation, libel, and slander, but only up to the policy's limits. In this case, the business will be covered up to the $2 million limit of the CGL policy, and any excess amount beyond that would need to be paid out of pocket. It's crucial for businesses to ensure they have adequate coverage for defamation claims and consider adding higher limits or additional coverage as needed. Question 20. Conceptual. Which of the following is not the typical exclusion in a standard commercial general liability (CGL) policy? A. Damage to property owned, rented, or leased by the insured. B. Liability arising from the use of the insured's product or service. C. Intentional bodily injury or property damage caused by the insured. D. Claims for bodily injury sustained by employees in the course of employment. Answer. B. Explanation. A standard CGL policy typically excludes coverage for bodily injury or property damage caused by the use of the insured's product or service, as these risks are more appropriately covered under product liability or professional liability policies. However, bodily injury or property damage caused by the insured's actions, excluding negligence or product-related issues, or by employees during work activities, would typically be covered assuming no specific exclusions apply. Question 21. Conceptual. Which of the following would typically not be covered under a standard workers' compensation insurance policy? A. A worker is injured while operating machinery during regular business hours. B. A worker sustains an injury while commuting to work. C. A worker is injured on the job due to the negligence of a coworker. D. A worker is injured while performing a task that is outside the scope of their regular job duties. Answer. B. Explanation. Workers' compensation insurance generally covers injuries that occur in the course of employment. Injuries that happen while commuting to work, also known as the coming and going rule, are typically excluded from coverage unless the worker is engaged in a work-related task while commuting. Question 22. Scenario-based. A Utah-based business purchases a commercial auto insurance policy for its fleet of delivery trucks. One of the drivers accidentally hits a pedestrian while making a delivery. The pedestrian sues the business for $500,000 in damages. How will the commercial auto insurance policy respond? A. The policy will cover the damages as the incident occurred while the vehicle was in operation. B. The policy will only cover the cost of the repair to the vehicle and will not cover the pedestrian's damages. C. The policy will cover only the legal defense costs, not the damages to the pedestrian. D. The policy will not cover any damages related to the accident because the pedestrian was on private property. Answer. A. Explanation. A commercial auto insurance policy typically covers liability for bodily injury and property damage caused by an accident involving a company vehicle. In this case, the policy would likely cover the pedestrian's damages as the incident occurred while the vehicle was being used for business purposes. Question 23. Conceptual. Which of the following statements accurately describes the role of an umbrella policy in commercial insurance? A. An umbrella policy provides additional coverage for physical damage to business property. B. An umbrella policy covers the legal costs associated with regulatory fines and penalties. C. An umbrella policy extends the liability limits of primary insurance policies and covers certain excluded risks. D. An umbrella policy is designed to cover health and medical expenses for employees. Answer. C. Explanation. An umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage above and beyond the limits of the underlying commercial policies, e.g., commercial general liability, commercial auto. It can also extend coverage to certain excluded risks, such as personal injury or property damage, which would not be covered by the primary policies. Question 24. Scenario-based. A ute company purchases a business owner's policy BOP that includes liability coverage. A customer slips and falls in the company's store and sues for $200,000 in medical expenses and pain and suffering. The company has a $1 million liability coverage limit. How will the BOP respond? A. The BOP will cover the entire $200,000 claim as it is within the policy's liability limits. B. The BOP will cover only $100,000 of the claim, leaving the business responsible for the remaining $100,000. C. The BOP will not cover the claim because it involves a personal injury. D. The BOP will not cover the claim if the customer was partially responsible for the fall. Answer. A. Explanation. A business owner's policy BOP typically includes liability coverage for bodily injury and property damage. In this case, the $200,000 claim for the slip and fall incident is well within the BOP's $1 million liability coverage, and the policy would cover the entire claim, provided that the incident is not excluded. Question 25. Conceptual. Which of the following types of insurance provides coverage for professional mistakes or negligence, such as errors made by an attorney or consultant? A. Commercial general liability CGL. B. Professional liability errors and omissions. C. Commercial property insurance. D. Workers' compensation insurance. Answer. B. Explanation. Professional liability insurance, also known as errors and omissions EO insurance, provides coverage for professionals against claims arising from mistakes, errors, or negligence in the performance of their professional services. This type of coverage is essential for professionals such as attorneys, consultants, and medical practitioners. Question 26. Scenario-based. A business in Yupa experiences significant water damage due to a burst pipe in its building. The building's roof, inventory, and equipment are all damaged. The business has a commercial property insurance policy. How will the policy respond? A. The policy will cover the water damage as long as the damage is not caused by flooding. B. The policy will cover the damage to the roof, inventory, and equipment, but only if the business has flood insurance. C. The policy will not cover any water damage, as it is an excluded risk under the policy. D. The policy will cover the water damage only to the roof and equipment, not to the inventory. Answer. A. Explanation. A standard commercial property insurance policy will typically cover water damage caused by internal sources, such as a burst pipe. However, damage caused by external flooding, e.g., from a natural disaster, would not be covered unless the business has separate flood insurance. The key distinction here is that internal water damage is generally covered. Question 27. Conceptual. Which of the following is a typical exclusion in a standard commercial property insurance policy? A. Vandalism or malicious mischief. B. Fire or smoke damage. C. Employee theft or dishonesty. D. Damage caused by a windstorm. Answer. C. Explanation. Employee theft or dishonesty is typically excluded under a standard commercial property insurance policy. Businesses can purchase separate coverage, such as employee dishonesty insurance or fidelity insurance, to protect against theft by employees. Vandalism, fire, and windstorm damage are generally covered under a standard commercial property insurance policy. Question 28. Scenario-based. A business in Yuva has purchased a commercial general liability CGL policy with a $1 million per occurrence limit. The business is sued for $800,000 in property damage caused by an accident during a construction project. The business also faces another lawsuit for $300,000 in bodily injury claims resulting from the same incident. How much of the total claim will the CGL policy cover? The CGL policy will cover the entire $1.1 million claim as it is under the $1 million limit. B. The CGL policy will cover only $800,000 of the property damage claim, leaving the business responsible for the $300,000 bodily injury claim. C. The CGL policy will cover the $800,000 property damage claim and up to $200,000 of the bodily injury claim. D. The CGL policy will cover both claims fully as long as they are related to the same incident. Answer and explanation. A standard commercial general liability (CGL) policy typically provides a per-occurrence limit of coverage which applies to all claims arising from the same incident. In this case, the total claim is $1.1 million, which exceeds the $1 million limit of the CGL policy. The policy would cover the entire $1 million limit, leaving the business responsible for the remaining $100,000. Question 29. Conceptual. What is the primary purpose of a crime insurance policy for businesses? A. To cover losses due to employee theft, burglary, and other crimes. B. To provide coverage for fire and storm damage to business property. C. To protect against legal claims for bodily injury or property damage. D. To cover losses from cyber attacks or data breaches. Answer A. Explanation. Crime insurance provides coverage for losses caused by criminal acts, including employee theft, burglary, and robbery. This type of insurance is designed to protect businesses from the financial impact of criminal activity that affects their operations. It is particularly important for businesses that handle large amounts of cash or valuable property. Question 30. Scenario-based. A business purchases a business interruption insurance policy as part of its commercial property insurance coverage. Due to a fire, the business must temporarily close for repairs. The business incurs additional expenses such as renting temporary office space and paying for overtime to meet customer demands. How will the business interruption insurance respond? A. The policy will cover the lost revenue from the closure but not the additional expenses incurred during the recovery process. B. The policy will cover both the lost income and the additional expenses incurred to continue operations. C. The policy will cover only the cost of repairs to the building, not the lost income or additional expenses. D. The policy will not cover any expenses because the fire was accidental. Answer B. Explanation. Business interruption insurance covers both the lost income resulting from the interruption of business operations and additional expenses incurred to maintain operations during the recovery period. This includes costs like renting temporary office space, paying for overtime labor, or other necessary expenditures that help the business stay operational.